Okay, I want to welcome everybody here today. You, of course, know why we're here. Professor Artemov, his 60th birthday, not to mention constructivity in mathematics, which is actually older. This morning I want to introduce Professor Kelly, who is the president of the Graduate Center, who will open the conference with a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Appreciate that. It's wonderful to be here. I'm delighted to get off on time, which is a rare thing for such conferences, particularly because my good friend Sergey said that he wore a tie today simply so that I wouldn't be the only one in the room wearing one. So I wanted to get here, have my remarks so Sergey could take his tie off and we could move on. It's a delight to welcome you to this, to the Graduate Center and to this important conference. For those of you who may be new to the Graduate Center, and we welcome people today from around the country and around the world, a great tribute to Sergey. We are the doctorate granting wing of the City University of New York. CUNY is a large and sprawling institution in the 5 boroughs of the city. We currently have 260,000 students. It's the largest integrated university in the Western Hemisphere. And part of what we do has to do with teaching. Of course, our students go out and teach at the CUNY colleges, and then we attract faculty from around the colleges, so we serve something as a hub of that large system. I'm asked to speak at conferences and to give greetings on a pretty regular basis. I'm never entirely certain what value added that provides and what greetings entail. I feel like, you know, I'm Joe Louis in the latter days of his career at Vegas, welcoming high rollers as they came in to play roulette and craps. And I say the kind of Yeatsian, kindly public man things about welcome. We're delighted to have you here. But today, those platitudes and that template yields to something far more heartfelt. When I began my job as provost before I was president, now about, what is it, Sergey, about 12 years ago, one of the things that was most interesting to me about the job was the opportunity to think about the future of the institution and the kinds of scholarship we wanted to produce and how we might make it possible by judicious recruitments across the country. And the first part of that for me, really the first conversation I had was with Sergey, who was then at Cornell, and Anil and I just had a conversation about that. And bringing Sergey to the Graduate Center was then and continues to be one of my proudest accomplishments. I feel that I've earned my salary for about a decade by bringing our friend here. And that has to do, of course, with his scholarship. And this is a conference about scholarship, and you are here because you understand what constructivism in mathematics is. I know a little bit about it in terms of Russian painting, but I don't think that's the same thing. I'm trapped in the humanities and the liberal arts. I was watching some television show last night involving donors. It was one of these, what's called the Big Bang Theory, not a show I'm very familiar with, but my daughter had sent me a reference to this particular episode. And these mathematicians and scientists are off being asked to raise money from wealthy donors. And in the course of this, they don't like doing this. No one particularly likes that activity. They complain that they are scholars and researchers. Why should they have to be, quote, smooching ass of old rich people? And you know, this spoke to my heart. I understood what this was all about. And the young physicist in the room says he's not going to do this. He's going to take a principled stand, and he's not going to do any of this sycophantic fundraising. And the other scholar says, look, if you don't do this, this money could go to geologists. And he says, oh, not the dirt people. And she said, or even worse, it could go to the liberal arts. And he's just completely astonished and appalled, puts on a suit and gets to work. Well, while I found it amusing, I also found it a violation of all that I know about the Graduate Center and all that I know about Sergei Artemov as the primary representative of what we try to do here. Sergei is the Renaissance man writ large. The distinction between the liberal arts and mathematics and computer science, philosophy, all of these are lost on our friend. His appointments here are in 3 disciplines, in philosophy, mathematics, and computer science. The reason that, as I suggested earlier, that I was so intent on bringing Sergei here was not just because he was an extraordinary scholar and mathematician, but because he spoke to this notion of breaking down the silos that I think have divided the university in unproductive ways for a very long time, not just the two-culture time, but for almost 150 years, the way in which this the way in which academic life has parceled itself off into small little pieces of turf. And Sergei has in every way resisted that, and he has become a model for what we try to do here, not just as a teacher and as a scholar and somebody committed to the life of an institution, the 3 requirements that I think we all embrace as members of university communities, but also recognizing that no one's interests are served by raising barriers, by raising fences, and that the activity of the scholar, the life of the mind, requires the destruction of those barriers. And there is no one who does that better, even to the point of becoming something of an anatomical wonder. A couple days ago, I was speaking with our provost about future hiring and plans that we'd had here. And he said, you know, the thing is we really need to push even harder to think about transdisciplinary appointments. Not a term I much like, but I understood the intent. And he said, you know, we really need to model this around people like Sergei Artemov. You know, Sergei has a foot in computer science, a foot in philosophy, and a foot in mathematics. And I realized that Sergei had many things going for him, but the 3-legged man comes as something of a shock. I had a girlfriend in college who was very soft-hearted and insisted on bringing 3-legged dogs into our life on a regular basis. This is an entirely different thing. I'm sorry, I'm going on too long. Sergei's tie is beginning to chafe. So let me conclude by wishing the happiest of birthdays to my dear friend Sergei, by thanking all of you for being here to participate in honoring this great man, and for gracing the Graduate Center with your presence, and wishing you a very good conference. And again, thanks to the organizers very much for putting this wonderful event together. And again, congratulations, Sergei.